In this video, form some special products using the special products formula. Let's start from multiplying two binomials like this in number 1. So here we simply apply the FOIL method. So remember the FOIL method, we multiply the first terms of the binomials and then next the outer, that's the outer terms, we multiply it, and then the i's, the inner, multiply it, inner terms, and then finally the last terms. Okay, so let's do that here. So the first terms, 2x times 3x, that's equal to 6x squared, and then we have the middle terms is negative 4 times 3x, negative 12x. Then here, the outer terms, that's plus 10x. So we add that together, that's equal to negative 2x. And then the last term, that's negative 4 times positive 5, that's negative 20. So that's the product of the binomials. And let's go to the second one. It's the same idea. We multiply the first terms and then multiply the inner terms, the outer terms, add them together, and then the last terms. Okay, multiply the first terms, 5x, that's negative 2x, that's negative 10x squared. And then let's go here to the inner terms, negative 4y times negative 2x, that's negative 8xy. And then the outer terms, negative 5x minus 3x, that's negative 15xy. If we add that together, that's negative 23xy. And finally, the last terms, that's positive 4y minus 3y, that's positive and negative, that's 12y squared. Okay, let's move now here to the square of binomials. We can also perform it using this FOIL method here by simply expanding this square into this form. You have 3x plus 2 and 3x plus 2. Now notice that if you multiply the first terms, that's 3x times 3x, just like you multiply this by itself. You square this. And then the last terms, that's 2 times 2, it's just like you square the 2. And then the middle terms, that's 2 times 3x, that's 6x. And then the outer terms, that's also 6x. So this is just like multiplying the first and the second terms, and then you multiply it again by 2 to its product. So it's just like what is happening here. So I call this condensed FOIL method. So let's condense this one. The square of actually this is the form here. So the square of 3x is 9x squared, and then you multiply the AB, that's AB there. This is our A, this is our B. So that's 2 times 3x, that's 6x. And then the product, you multiply it by 2. So plus 6x, that's 12 times 2 is 12x. And then you square the b. Okay, so that is plus 4. So that's the product of this square binomial. Now next one here, you have difference of the terms, then still do the same. So using this formula here, you square the first term. Square of 4x is 16. Square of 4 is 16. And square of x is x squared. and then you multiply this 2. That's negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. And negative 8 times 2 is negative 16x. Okay, so if you can't follow it clearly, I will multiply it here. So 4x times negative 2, that's negative 8x. And then you multiply the result by 2, that gives you negative 16x. Finally, we square the second term. The square of negative 2 is positive 4. So that's the result. Let's move now to multiplying sum and difference of two binomials here. Now this is pretty interesting because if you have this form of binomial, a plus b, and the second binomial is also a, but we have difference here, a minus b, then their product is simply a squared plus b squared. Let's now show this one because it looks interesting. Let's find out if this is really correct or true. So a plus b times a minus b. Again, we'll use the FOIL method. The first terms first, that is a squared. And then the middle terms, that's positive ab. And then the last terms, that's negative ab. Then the last terms, that's negative b squared. Now these two terms here in the middle will cancel out. That's equal to 0. And we have a squared minus b squared. And that proves this formula here is correct. Now let's go here to the first multiplication. Let's check first the first and the second terms if they're correct as the second binomial. So our first term is 3x. That's the same as the first term of the second binomial. And then the b is 4. Okay, and of course we can use this formula now. So to use that formula, we have to set our a squared first. Let's identify our a. Our a is 3x here. Okay, and our b is 4 there. So by formula, that's a squared, this is our a here, minus our b squared. And let's plug in our a, which is equal to 3x here, and our b, which is equal to 4. And then let's simplify it. So square of 3 is 9, square of x is x squared, and square of 4 is 16. So this is now the product. And let's move to number 2. We'll check the first term. It's the same as the first term of the second binomial. And so as the second terms are the same. So we can now apply this formula here. We square the a, and then we square the b. And here our a is 5m, and our b is 2n. So let's plug in our a here, which is 5m. And then our b is 2n. Okay, let's now apply the square. The square of 5 is 35. Square of m is m squared. And then the square of 2 is 4. The square of n is n squared. So this is now the product. Let's move to the next type of multiplication, which is multiplying cubed of a binomial. So let's start from here. Let's look at the formula first right here. So if you have a plus b to the cube, then that is just equal to a cubed. Now you look at carefully how the structure of the formula here. So plus 3, then look at our a here, starts from 3, then goes down to a squared, and then next term a to the 1, and then it's gone because it's now a to the 0 here. And our b here is b to the 0, which is 1, so you don't see the b here. And then b to the 1, b to the 2, and b to the 3rd. If you have bigger exponent here for the binomial, you can use the binomial expansion or the Pascal triangle. In the Pascal triangle, you start from 1, 1, 1, and then 1. You add these two. 1 plus 1 is 2. 1. So this is when you have binomial with exponent 2. And if you have binomial with exponent 3, that's 1. Then 1 plus 2 is 3. 1 plus 2 is 3. And 1. So that's how it looks like here. 1, 3, 3, 1. Okay, so, but if you move to power of 4, then it's going to be 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. Just simply add these adjacent terms there. Okay, and to the fifth, it's going to be 1, 5, 10, 10, 5, 1. And that's with so on and so forth. This is called the Pascal triangle. What we're going to do is simply apply this formula here. And first, we need to identify our A and our B. Our A is 2P and our B is 4Q. Now to do that, you just simply form this structure here. This is our A cube. Okay, there you go. Plus 3 times A squared, then times B plus 3A, then B squared plus B cubed. Okay, and this time let's plug in our A based from this formula here, which is 2P, and then 3A squared. Our A is 2P, then B is 4Q, then that's 3A, A is 2P, B is 4Q, then finally our B cube, which is 4Q. We then simplify it. Cube over 2 is 8. B cube of P is P cube plus the cube of our square over 2 is 4. 4 times 3 is 12. Square of our P is, by the way, we still have the 4 here. Let's just multiply it directly. So we got a 12 here. Got a 12. 12 times 4 is 48. And then square of P is P squared. And we have the Q. Here, let's use the different color. So here we have the square of 4 is 16. We have the Q squared there. And then 3 times 2 is 6. And 6 times 16, that is 96. So gonna be plus 96, then P Q squared plus the cube of 4, that's 4 times 4, 16 times 4, that's 64 Q cube. And this is now the product of this cube of binomial there. Now in the case we have something like this, we will do the same way. We'll do it in the same way. Okay, it's okay, we cube our A. By the way, our A here is 3x, that's our A, and our B is the 2y. Okay, plus 3A squared times B plus 3A times B squared plus B cubed. And then let's plug in our A, which is equal to 3x. Okay, and this is our A, 3x. This is our B here, which is 2y, negative 2y for our B. Okay, and this is our A here, which is 3x, and negative 2y for a B. And then here our b is negative 2y. Okay, let's now simplify this. By the way, this cube. Okay, the cube of our 3 is 27. That's x cubed plus. Okay, let's do this slowly. Square of 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Okay, and 27 times 2, that's 54. And the sign is negative. Let's go here. Square of negative 2, that's 4. 4 times 3, that's 12. 12 times 3, that's 36. So you have 36y squared. And here we have 8. Negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. That's negative 8y cubed. So finally, we have here minus. Okay, let's erase this first. Okay, minus 54. 54. And that's x squared there. And y. Here, plus 36. That's x there. And the square of our y. Then minus y cubed. That's now the product of our binomial, a cube or binomial.